At the second Chronicle Roundtable, organized by 21st Century Media Services, publishers of 21st Century Chronicle in Abuja, Vice President Kashim Shettima says President Bola Tinubu took the decision to remove fuel subsidy to save Nigeria from debt service to revenue ratio, which had grown to 111.8% before he took over power. While describing the anticipated debt crisis as an economic death sentence, he said subsidy was a big elephant in the room that deserved to be killed.
Because we have refused to settle for a placebo, because we know the danger of leaving a life-threatening disease untreated for too long, we are confident that the health of this nation is in good hands. And we do not resort to putting the blame on the previous administration. Leadership is about courage. Leadership is about continuity. Leadership is about taking far-reaching decisions. And before we took charge, the biggest elephant in the room was the question of the fuel subsidy removal. It was an albatross round the neck of the nation 20 to 30 years. We understood why our predecessor made the decision to remove the subsidy, but there was no sufficient budget for it in the fiscal year. The year before we took office, Nigeria's debt service to revenue ratio had grown to 111.18%. The anticipated debt crisis may sound like fancy economic jargon to the man on the street, but I promise to have a meaningful conversation with you. But you and I are in a position to understand how such miscalculations have played out in other countries. It's an economic death sentence.
Shettima regretted that for long Nigeria had endured economic sabotage, leading to the resolve by the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Yemi Cardoso, and the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, to take matters in their hands to neutralize the overpowering influence of currency manipulators who had conspired to frustrate reforms. He said federal government is set to launch the Investment in Digital and Creative Enterprises program on May 15, which aims to create 2 million jobs.
They were projecting that the Naira will go to as high as 5,000 to the dollars. Some betted against the Naira. Some borrowed mercilessly from the banks and bought dollar at a cost of 2,000 to the Naira. It's sad, it's disheartening, it's befuddling that some of us do not wish the nation well. Or rather, that the nation implodes. But let it be known to them, when the rain falls, it doesn't fall from one man's house.
A former Minister of Finance, Samsudeen Usman, called on President Tinubu to set example by sacking ministers who are unable to perform as he had promised during the presidential retreat.
I recall that during the presidential retreat, President Tinubu said to the ministers and other government officials, you either deliver results or get sacked. That's the next test. He needs to make 1 or 2 examples, especially based on these measures of performance that are clear, objective, that have been made available to the Nigerian public.
Speakers at the event are unanimous and optimistic that the ongoing reforms will change the narrative about Nigeria and place the country in a positive map among the Committee of Nations.